The kitchen was cold and dimly lit. Sofia Vargas sat at the table, her fingers tracing the edge of a chipped mug. The electricity had been cut off for 2 days now, and the only light came from a flickering candle. Mateo, her young son, sat across from her, clutching his inhaler. His chest was tight, and she could see the panic in his eyes. They were already out of the medicine he needed to manage his asthma. And the new prescription was far beyond what they could afford. Sofia's life had been a series of struggles. After her divorce from a man who had promised her the world, she found herself alone, raising 2 children while working long, grueling hours as a night shift employee at McDonald's. She hated how her life had turned out, but the thought of giving up on her kids kept her moving forward, even when the weight of the world seemed too much to bear. Her ex-husband had disappeared after their divorce, leaving no support, no explanation, and certainly no way to help with the bills. Sofia's hands were tied. The bill for the phone was due, and she had no way of paying it. Everything felt like it was slipping away. The harsh reality of her situation crashed into her as she looked at Mateo. She could see his frail body struggling to breathe, and the helplessness she felt gnawed at her. Could she really keep him safe? Could she protect him from the world that seemed so unforgiving? The only thing she had was her resilience, the belief that somehow, someway, she would make it through. But the fear of what might happen if she didn't keep pushing haunted her every day. The night was like any other at McDonald's. Sofia moved through the shift mechanically, serving food, taking orders, cleaning up. It was exhausting, and the pay barely covered their basic needs. But then, something unexpected happened. A man walked into the restaurant. It wasn't just any man, it was Elon Musk, the billionaire entrepreneur she had seen on TV but never imagined she would encounter in real life. He walked up to the counter, glancing distractedly at the menu. Sofia had no idea why he was there, but as he reached for his wallet, he froze, his expression shifting to frustration. "I must have left my wallet in the car," he muttered, running a hand through his hair. Sofia saw the irritation in his eyes, but instead of turning him away, something inside her moved. She couldn't afford to give away free food, but she knew he was in a bind. "Don't worry about it, I've got it covered," she said before she could second-guess herself. Elon blinked, clearly surprised by her generosity. "Are you sure?" he asked, his voice softening. "Of course," she replied with a smile, though she was secretly hoping her small act of kindness wouldn't come back to haunt her. As he paid for his meal, their eyes met. For a brief moment, something flickered between them, a quiet connection that left Sofia feeling uneasy. There was something about him, something familiar. But it wasn't until he left that she realized what it was. He had looked at her the way her ex-husband used to, with that same fleeting glance of recognition and maybe something more. Before she could dwell on it, Elon was gone, but his presence lingered in her thoughts. Why had she done it? Why did she feel this strange pull? Little did she know, that moment would change everything. The following day, Sofia's life was thrown into chaos. A video had gone viral, a recording of the moment she had helped Elon Musk, taken by the security cameras inside the McDonald's. At first, she didn't think much of it, but soon, her phone began to buzz with notifications. Social media was ablaze with the video. People were praising her for her kindness. But there was also a dark side to the attention. Comments ranged from admiration to judgment, from hope to suspicion. Elena, her elderly neighbor, had warned her about the dangers of fame. "Be careful, Sofia. The internet can be a cruel place. You don't know who's watching," she had cautioned. But Sofia had never expected something like this to happen. She wasn't trying to make a name for herself, she had simply wanted to help someone in need. But it wasn't just the praise that made her uneasy. It was the messages. There were those who called her a saint, but others began sending strange, threatening notes. One even included a warning: "You're being watched. Don't trust anyone." The fear crept in, and the uncertainty followed her everywhere. As if that wasn't enough, Sofia received a call from Mr. Harding, her boss at McDonald's. His voice was cold, filled with suspicion. "We need to talk about your actions yesterday. We've received several complaints. You're in trouble." Sofia felt her stomach drop. The praise she had received online meant nothing now. All that mattered was how her employer would react. The confrontation with Mr. Harding was quick and brutal. You violated company policy, he said. You gave away food, and that can't happen again. I'm afraid I have to let you go. Sophia's heart sank as she stood there, stunned. She had just lost her job over trying to help someone in need. It felt like the world had turned against her. As she walked out of the McDonald's building, a feeling of emptiness washed over her. She wasn't sure what to do next. Her options were limited, and she didn't know where to turn. That's when her phone buzzed again. A text message from an unknown number. I saw your story. I can help you make money from this. There's an opportunity waiting for you, but it'll cost you a small upfront fee. Sophia's first instinct was to delete the message. It seemed like a scam, but desperation made her hesitate. Was this her chance to turn things around? Or was it just another trap? Alina's voice echoed in her mind, warning her to be careful. But Sophia didn't know if she could afford to be cautious anymore. Sophia couldn't shake the feeling of dread that followed the message. The days passed slowly, filled with uncertainty. Her electricity remained off, and the stress of her situation weighed on her. Her kids, unaware of how bad things had gotten, continued with their daily routines. But Sophia couldn't stop thinking about the job offer. It was tempting. It promised a way out. But at what cost? Then, just when she thought things couldn't get worse, another message appeared. Meet me at Tesla headquarters in Palo Alto at 10 a.m. I have an offer you can't refuse. Sophia's mind raced. Was this a real opportunity? Or was she walking into another trap? She couldn't tell. But the idea of a job, an actual chance to make things better, was too enticing to ignore. Yet, a part of her hesitated. What if this was just another scam? What if she was being manipulated? She thought about Matteo, about the way his chest had tightened in the night, and how she had no way to help him. She thought about her daughter and how she couldn't let them grow up in this situation. With a deep breath, she decided to take the risk. This might be the only chance she had to change their lives. Tesla headquarters was everything Sophia had imagined it would be: sleek, modern, filled with innovation. But as she stepped inside, the weight of the situation pressed down on her. Tanya, a representative from Elon Musk's office, greeted her warmly and led her through the building. But Sophia couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. During the tour, she noticed something strange: a hidden camera in a room she was led into. It was small, tucked away in a corner. But it was there. Sophia's heart raced. Had she been followed here? Was this all just part of a larger plan? Later, Tanya offered her a position at Tesla. Something she had never expected. But there was one condition. She had to work closely with Elon himself. It sounded too good to be true. And Sophia couldn't ignore the nagging feeling that this was all somehow connected to the viral video. When Sophia returned home, Elena was waiting for her, looking uneasy. I need to tell you something, she said, her voice trembling. I wasn't just a neighbor. I was hired by Elon to watch you. Sophia's world shattered. Elena, the woman she had trusted, had been spying on her all along. Everything that had happened, every decision, every encounter, was part of a plan that Sophia didn't fully understand. The interview with Elon Musk was intense. He was charming, persuasive, and seemed to believe in Sophia's potential. But Sophia's doubts only grew. Could she trust him? Could she trust anything anymore? As she toured the Tesla facility, memories of her mother began to surface. Her mother had always told her to be strong, to fight through the hardest times. Sophia had never fully understood those lessons until now. Her mother had been a survivor, and Sophia had to be, too. She had come too far to let fear control her. But despite her resolve, Sophia couldn't escape the suspicion gnawing at her. Was Elon truly offering her a chance? Or was this just another manipulation? The tension between them was palpable as they sat down to talk about the job. Sophia asked the question she had been holding back. Why me? What makes me different? Elon's answer was vague, but it didn't matter. Sophia knew she couldn't let this chance slip away. The future of her family depended on it. Sophia's relationship with Daniel Hayes, a fellow employee at Tesla, began to grow stronger. They spent long hours together, discussing their personal lives and ambitions. Daniel seemed to genuinely care about her, and for the first time in a long while, Sophia felt seen. But as their connection deepened, Sophia began to notice unsettling things. Daniel seemed more interested in her past than her present. He asked probing questions about her marriage, her divorce, and the choices she had made. One evening, after a heated argument about his intrusive questions, Daniel confessed, "I care about you, Sophia, but I can't help myself. I'm obsessed with the mystery of who you are." The words stung. Sophia realized that Daniel's affection was tied not just to her, but to the story she represented. She wasn't sure if their relationship was real or if she had just become another mystery for him to solve. The story continues as Sophia navigates her new life with Tesla. The complex relationships and the challenges ahead, each decision she makes becomes more crucial than ever, as the stakes keep rising and the lines between trust and betrayal blur. Sophia had barely settled into her new role at Tesla, but the pressure was already mounting. The company, with its sleek offices and high-stakes atmosphere, demanded perfection, and the once hopeful spark in Sophia began to flicker under the weight of expectations. She had always been the kind of person who wanted to help others. But in the corporate world, her kindness was starting to become a liability. At Tesla, the competition was fierce, everyone was vying for recognition, and small mistakes were treated like huge setbacks. One day, during a routine project, Sophia, in an effort to assist her colleagues, took the initiative to help out with a task that wasn't even her responsibility. She thought she was being helpful, solving a problem before it became a bigger issue. But her actions inadvertently set the project back. The work she had interrupted had to be redone. And now, the team was facing a serious delay. Her heart sank as she sat across from Elon, who was visibly frustrated. "Sophia, I understand you wanted to help, but you can't just jump into things without knowing what you're doing," he said, his voice calm but filled with a tinge of disappointment. "This isn't just about being nice. It's about being strategic and focused." The words stung more than she wanted to admit. Sophia had been trying so hard to prove herself. She thought kindness could make a difference, that it would be enough. But in this world, it seemed, it wasn't enough to be kind, you had to be ruthless. Calculated. She left the office feeling crushed. Maybe she wasn't cut out for this. Maybe her kindness, her willingness to go above and beyond, wasn't the strength she had always believed it to be. Just when things were at their darkest, an unexpected opportunity arose. Tesla's project was in danger of a catastrophic failure. The timeline had already been delayed, and the pressure was mounting. It was a make or break moment, and the team needed a miracle. That's when Daniel stepped in. Despite their rocky relationship, despite their differences, Daniel and Sophia knew that they had to set aside their personal issues if they were going to make it through this crisis. They worked side by side, long hours blending their ideas, their strategies, their determination. There was no room for error. The work was grueling, the stress unbearable, but Sophia could see something in Daniel that she hadn't seen before, a drive, a focus that matched her own. They were unstoppable together, and when they finally solved the problem, when the project was back on track, Sophia felt a surge of pride. It wasn't just about saving the project, it was about proving to herself that she could still make a difference in this harsh world. Elon praised them both, but Sophia knew that the real victory wasn't in his approval, it was in the quiet satisfaction of knowing she had stood tall, even when everything seemed to be falling apart. After the storm passed, Sophia began to reflect on everything that had happened. She had survived, yes, but at what cost? The corporate world was ruthless, and Tesla had offered her opportunities, but it had also stripped away some of the very qualities she had once believed in: compassion, kindness, and the desire to help others. It was in those moments of quiet reflection that Sophia realized what her true calling was. She couldn't ignore the way her heart ached for the mothers in her community. The ones who, like her, were struggling to make ends meet. There were so many single mothers like her, fighting to stay afloat, yet feeling invisible in a world that didn't care. And so, she took the first step. She started a program for single mothers, offering them the help and support they needed. It wasn't much at first, just a few resources, a network of women trying to make it work. But soon, it grew, and more women joined. Sophia felt a sense of fulfillment she hadn't known before. This, she realized, was where she truly belonged, helping others find their way, just as she had done. Daniel stood by her side, supporting her every step of the way. The bond between them had deepened, built on shared experiences and mutual respect. They weren't just partners in business anymore, they were partners in life. Together, they changed the lives of the women in their community, proving that even in the darkest times, hope could flourish. Months passed, and Sophia's life had changed dramatically. The once struggling single mother was now a beacon of hope for others. Her work with the program had gained attention, and soon, Tesla recognized her efforts. She was invited to speak at company events, and her story became an inspiration to those who were still trying to make it. At Tesla's annual gala, Sophia was honored for her achievements. Elon Musk himself stood before her, acknowledging her hard work, but Sophia knew that the true reward wasn't in the accolades, it was in the lives she had touched. The evening culminated with a gesture that symbolized her growth. Elon handed her the pendant that he had once given her, the symbol of her rise within the company. But Sophia, in a moment of clarity, knew that this part of her life was over. She handed it back to him, a silent acknowledgement that she had moved beyond the woman she had been. "I've learned a lot, Elon," Sophia said softly, "but my real success isn't here. It's out there." She gestured to the crowd of women who had joined her program. The women who had become her true legacy. Elon smiled, his face filled with admiration. "I know, Sophia, you've done something amazing, and I'm proud of you." Sophia stood by Daniel, looking out at the future that lay ahead. They had come so far together, and as they faced the next chapter, she knew that nothing could hold her back. The road ahead was theirs to shape, and together, they would continue to make a difference. With the lessons learned and the struggles behind her, Sophia had reached a place of peace and fulfillment. She had found her purpose, not through fame or fortune, but through the quiet, powerful act of lifting others up, and in that, she had found her true success.